Hi there. Welcome to The Preventable, the podcast giving you a seat at the table with conversations about the intersection of alcohol, drugs, and mental health in everyday lives. Take a seat and join us.
Welcome to The Preventable. As always, we could not do any of this amazing stuff without the support of Hubbard Radio. We're in this amazing studio. They donate the equipment and the time, and sometimes we just keep pinching ourselves. We're like, do we get to keep doing this? And when the answer is yes, it's just pretty exciting. And I think somebody who understands the power of a connected board member and an engaged board member is my guest today. So I was told that I needed to have our illustrious guest on the podcast. I was not asked. I was like, you need to call her and she needs to be on your podcast. And I can follow directions. I'm an oldest daughter, so I follow directions. So without further ado, the founder, executive director, chief boss lady, all the things, Jill of all trades of Community of Hope, AJ Alicia Pickens. Thank you for being here today.
Good morning. Thank you so much for inviting me, Nicole. Lisa also told me.
Oh, you also were told that you had to be on here?
You need to make sure that you connect. I love her. I absolutely love her and her fight for our missions.
And our fight for St. Louis.
Yes.
Lisa is one of those people who is the most humble.
Yes.
Right? She loves to work almost as much as she loves Prince, but she loves to work and she loves this city.
Yes, she does. She does.
And she is like an ambassador and is a person who is unrelenting in her mission to make this city better.
Yes. And doesn't she know everyone?
Everyone.
Gosh, I'm like, who don't you know?
Everyone. She knows everyone.
Yes.
When she comes and does our site visits, we are not scared. We are excited because we just want to sit and have a conversation and pick her brain, and she's truly incredible.
Yes, she is.
So I'm so glad she connected us.
Me as well.
So I'm going to be just completely honest with you and tell you that I do not know what your organization does. Could you please tell me about it?
Awesome. I would love to.
I knew you would. Okay. Tell me about your organization.
Community of Hope was founded because there was a gap for the care and the resources and the barriers to remove the barriers for teenage mothers in the city of St. Louis. I was a mom at 14, and I just remember feeling ashamed and how people made me feel like I was just the worst of the worst for getting pregnant. So the support, the especially the emotional support, because I'm already hormonal, and then add some more. I don't know what's going on.
And you're a teenager A, then you're extra hormonal B.
Yes.
Okay.
So
right.
I felt no one understood what I was going through. I just would turn against myself and say, you caused this situation. You caused the adversity in the home. And so I wanted to be for those girls what no one was for me. And to understand purpose, it is often tied to your greatest pain. My greatest pain was teenager years. It was a year surviving molestation, surviving incest, surviving a lot of things. And so at 15, I left home. And I was sleeping in vacant houses. And
With
I was
your baby or while pregnant?
No, I actually lost my child at 6 weeks old.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
So I didn't even tell my mom I was pregnant until I was almost 7 months. So I got no prenatal care.
You got no prenatal care,
to be
but you also
honest
didn't
with
get any
you,
postpartum.
No, well,
for any of your...
I did not. First of all, I didn't even know I was pregnant. Let's start there.
Oh.
I was so detached from my body. From being molested.
Yeah, right.
That I didn't even know there was a human growing inside of me. I was still out doing cheerleading and flipping and splitting. And
yeah, when you watch those shows that are like, I just had a baby and I didn't know it. And people are like, how is that possible? Well, when you are not in tune with your body for whatever reason, when you've disassociated from what is going on, It's possible.
It's very
to not know
possible.
you're pregnant.
Very possible.
Yes.
And so those 2 months of seeing the doctor and just still not even, I took my prenatal vitamins, but no one cared for me, if that makes sense.
It does.
And so my son had meningitis. And so after that, guess what? I turned that inward as well and said it's probably something I didn't do right.
Right.
I
It's your
just
fault.
should have told somebody. I should have known I was pregnant. It was just I. So that led me out into the world at I'm now 15 years old and thinking whatever's going on in the world can be no worse than what's happening inside of these walls. That's supposed to be my safe haven. So yet and still there was a world out there waiting for me full of predators, full of everybody that offered me help wanted something from me.
From you.
It
It
you
was a
can take a
transaction.
shower, but my husband may want to lay with you later, or sure, you can come in out of the cold and sleep on our floor, but what are you going to do for us? So I learned that every time I needed something from someone, I had to be prepared to give of myself. And so I honestly hated this body. This body was the source of all of my pain. So Community of Hope is trying to build and be that safe haven for those girls that I totally understand needs a place to where I can't talk to my parents. I can't talk to my counselors at school. I can't talk to social workers. They will hotline me. I can't. But if I don't get this out, it's going to be detrimental for me and my children.
Okay, I have a couple of logistical questions.
Come on.
How long ago did you found this?
2020.
Okay.
Started during COVID.
Okay. Okay. And St. Louis City is the footprint.
Yes.
Okay. But I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that if you have a mom from North County or somewhere else, you're not going to turn them away.
Exactly.
Okay, but your main footprint is the city.
The main footprint is, and we have, right now we have 36 moms.
That was going to be my next, 36 moms!
36 moms under the age of 18 right now in our program in the city of St. Louis. In the county, you add an additional almost 30 young moms under the age of 18.
Are those working with you, or are those working with other groups?
Those are being volunteered by us because we cannot.
You don't have the funding right now.
We don't have the funding. And
if anyone's listening,
Yes,
they don't
if
have the
anyone's
funding for
listening.
the county right now, but the need is great.
The need is great. And so I refuse to say, no, I can't help you. So let me try to figure out. So we have a lot of community volunteers that mentor these girls.
Absolutely.
And that they can still come and get one of our prize joys is the Mommy and Me closet. So I began a closet of community donations that started in just a little storage room.
Is this kind of how it began?
It began with just me. Well, let's go back. When I came home from prison,
Okay.
I had a 10-year prison sentence. All those years on the street, like I said, teenage prostitution, being used up and finding the wrong man after the man after man after man. Well, I ended up with a 10-year prison sentence for assault. And when my judge sentenced me, he said, "You think I'm trying to be mean to you, but I'm looking at all the things you've gone through. And you've never used drugs. You've never used alcohol. So most people have a crutch to get through this. But you do not. That means all of that is internal inside of you. You're a time bomb.
I was going to say waiting to explode.
You're waiting to blow." And
it's kind of no wonder you committed assault if you whatever. You're waiting.
If I let you out of here.
Yeah, right.
You're not going to go get the help you need because you've been mastering it all this time. So he said, one day you're going to write a letter and thank me. Well, we'll get to that later. But being where I was in federal prison, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
And they tried to keep sending me to all these therapists who were men. And you wanted me to open up and bare my soul of what men did to me, to another man in a position of authority. Oh, I could not do it.
Probably a white man, too, if I'm just going to
go
on record.
That is correct.
Right.
But I ended up with the last man, and they said, well, if you don't do therapy, you're never gonna get up out of here. That's part of your responsibility. So they finally sent me to a therapist, and he was like, hey, you ever watch the episode of the Jeffersons where they had the sponge cushions and they were fighting each other
Vaguely.
with the sponge?
I've seen clips of it, I think.
Okay.
Yes.
He had some of those.
Oh.
And he gave me one, and he says, I want you to hit me. Now imagine I'm an inmate.
Right.
I'm not hitting you.
You're like, I'm not an idiot.
This a
okay.
setup?
Yeah.
Okay. But then he started poking at me, and he says, I'm the man that used to come to your bed at night. I see you have on that pretty nightgown. And he literally angered me to the point where I would strike out with the cushion. So here I am. I'm just popping him with the cushion and cushion and cushion. And guess what? I started crying. Understand, I hadn't really cried since I was 9. And that man told me to shut up and take it like a big girl. Big girls don't cry. And I stopped crying. And that whole stretch, people thought something was so wrong with me because anything that happened to me, I did not cry. I just sucked it up and said, this must be what my life is supposed to be like. So when I lost my first child, I didn't cry. People looked at me like, I don't know how to be weak and empathetic because this was all taken away from me.
Oh, yeah. So, you were at 9,
yes.
You no longer were a kid.
Yes.
You had to grow up
And I try
real
to
fast.
explain to people that when you have experienced, the moment you experience something that traumatic, every decision you make after that is born out of that initial moment of trauma. There's no more healthy decisions after that until you can get help.
That's right.
So after that, I started going to group therapy. And I would sit in the back of the group therapy in prison, and I would sit and I'm mad because I got to be here. But then these women would start talking, and my pain started connect to their pain. I started hearing, wait a minute, how did she know I slept with 2 pair of pajamas on? Wait a minute, how did she know I felt dirty? How did she know I felt like this was all my fault? It let me know that I was not the only person experiencing it, which is what you think when you're going through it. And so I was
knowing
blessed.
that you're not alone.
Yes.
Sounds so basic.
Yes, but it's
and
so
it
powerful.
Is so powerful.
Yes.
It's that human connection. It's understanding that somebody else has been where you are.
Yes. And so I was blessed. People don't get it when I say it. It was the best thing that could have ever happened to me in life was to go to prison. Because I was surrounded by a bunch of elder women who, when I would come from group therapy, they didn't ask me my business or what happened. They just sit there and rub my leg or pray over me or give me cocoa and honey buns. And they would say, you know what? You're going to be okay.
And that was exactly what you needed.
That's what I needed. You're gonna be able to get over this. You're going to be able to go home to your children. You're going to be able to be better than this. You're going to be okay because you've started. You've started the hard part, which is the journey. And so having that circle of support and comfort, I started talking in the group therapy then. I started being able to say what I had went through. And I mean, just from that, I came home with such a fire to say, I want to be better. I got 3 ways to come out of this situation: better, worse, or the same. I chose better. So I came home with this fire and passion. And you know what I found as soon as I stepped off of that bus? I was back in the same environment that prison, catch my drift, that prison had protected me from. Here I am now again by myself in this big old city, unprotected again. I emotionally reverted all the way back to that 9-year-old girl. And it was like, oh my God, now the fear of, am I going to do the wrong thing? Am I going to make the wrong move today and they send me back? Am I going to not be able to find a job? Where am I going to live? All of those things was my fear every single day. Am I going to make the mistake that sends me back?
And we don't, as a country, do a very good job of supporting folks who are re-entering. Whether we're using drugs, a victim of trauma, we just don't do a great job.
No, and mental health resources and all of that was not there
At
to
that
say,
time,
hey,
yeah.
this is going to be a part of your plan when you
Right.
come home to
You're not
continue
good creating an exit strategy.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So I said, okay, this is what I want to do. So I decided I would just start helping young girls. When they would come to me, I'm talking to them. I'd start doing speeches and going to schools and telling my testimony and all of these things. And I ended up working at Job Corps.
Oh, all
and
right.
I was one of the women coordinators at Job Corps. And the young girls would just flock to me. And I'm like, okay, what is this about? But that's when I knew I'm putting you in position to be able to be a difference in these young girls' lives.
Mm-hmm.
Not to the level I'm doing it now, but it brought me in the first step of
it gave you the
journey.
Confidence
Yes, it
and
did.
the reassurance
Yes,
that
it did.
you were in the right place.
Yes. Now, so Community of Hope, we provide case managers for every one of them. And if they're not up under our grant, then, of course, we got the volunteer community mentors. But the closet began, I just wanted to be able to say, if you don't have clothes for your baby, I don't need you out here selling your body. I don't need you out here jumping in a car with your boyfriend to go rob someone. I don't need you selling drugs or let me try to help you get that so that that's not an option for you. And I'm so amazed to say the community. We've got 3 big rooms now of nothing but community donations. You got to come check it out.
I will. I would love to.
We've got clothing. We give them formula. We get our diapers from our partnership with the Diaper Bank. Period supplies. Yeah. We get it all in bottles, but the biggest thing has been the support of the community. When they could just take their clothes to Once Upon a Child, make some money, they're like, no, I want them to go to these young moms who don't have.
So how does a mom get hooked up with you all? Like, is it through refer? Like, how does a mom come to you?
Many ways.
Okay.
So we get them through school referrals. We may have the school counselors, and we actually just got invited via MOU to be in St. Louis Public Schools,
which is huge.
So we're
so many reasons.
For so many reasons.
That's amazing.
Yes. So I want to have mini mommy me closets in each one of those schools, so that we can meet the need right there. Not saying, hey, I'll call you tomorrow or next week. No, right here we've got Pampers, period supplies, clothing, blankets. What do you need right now? So that they can we get school referrals, and I do a lot of speaking engagements at the schools. Okay. So that draws and brings them to me. But let me tell you, the greatest way we get our moms, word of mouth. Our current moms
love that.
Refer to their friends.
And
then they come up, hey, I have a friend and she's pregnant and doesn't know what to do. Can I give her? Yes, you can.
How long does the average mom stay connected with you? And do you do any sort of like follow up or postpartum? Like how does that work?
If I get a mom at 15, I'm blessed to keep her till she's 19.
Oh.
Because under the grant, on their 19th birthday, then they age out of the grant portion of the program.
The mental health board piece or whatever.
Yes,
okay.
But then you roll over into aftercare, which is community volunteer led as well.
Love
because at 19 to 24, guess what? You still don't have it all figured out.
Right.
And you still need support.
Obviously. I'm 43 and I still don't have it figured out.
Hello, 52.
I know. I mean, I'm waiting. I'm waiting for the time I get it figured out. I don't think it's ever going to happen.
I don't think it ever happens.
I don't think so.
We learn every day, and we need every day.
And we learn every day the importance of our networks and our social circles.
Yes.
That was not something that I really believed or knew when I was younger.
Yes.
I rejected it, honestly.
Yes.
And it has become one of my top priorities are the women in particular, no shame to men, but the women in particular that I choose to surround myself with, who help me get better and who check on me emotionally.
So let me ask you a question. When you were coming up, did you come up in a home where it was what goes on in our house stays in our house?
Absolutely.
We
got
don't
in trouble
tell our
for airing our
business
family business.
There you go. That was the worst thing placed into us as children because it taught us
this new
not
generation
to tell.
is changing.
Yeah. Oh, they tell it all now.
There's all and then some, right? But I agree, because
Yeah.
then we had, family secrets.
Mhm.
And secrets, that's a common saying in the substance use community, that secrets keep us sick.
Mhm.
But also, when you wanted to ask for help, you didn't always know that you could go outside the family.
There you
Now,
go.
I did not experience the trauma and things that you're talking about in your family.
Mhm.
I also had other things.
Mhm.
This isn't, we're not comparing traumas, but at that point, you don't feel like you can go and talk to a teacher or talk to a
That's right.
counselor about that, because
Mhm.
you don't want to get your parents in trouble.
Mhm.
You don't want to air your family's dirty
Mhm.
laundry.
Mhm.
And in my experience, it was like little things,
Mhm.
like parents fighting or things like that.
Mhm.
I cannot imagine
Mhm.
if it's something more earth-shattering
Mhm.
and not feeling
And I have to keep
like
it to
you
myself.
and especially when it's
Yes.
maybe coming from your family.
Yes.
We talk a lot about this with substance use disorder, right? If you have a parent who is struggling or a sibling, the family dynamics are, they write books about the family dynamics, right? Where you have the hero and you have the mascot and you have the scapegoat. People start playing roles because you want to keep it insular.
Yes, you do. And let's if I have a mom that's 15 and her mom is 29 and her mom is 50. Let's look at that cycle. Everybody's had children before the age of 16 years old. So I'm still dealing with a 29-year-old that's now a grandmother.
Yeah.
But didn't even get the opportunity. Let's go all the way back. You didn't even get the opportunity to finish childhood and adolescence, to learn healthy emotions and all, because that was taken away from you.
Right.
So now you don't know how to give it to the 15-year-old. And now the 15-year-old's got your problems plus her problems. And now you want her to turn around and nurture a new
It's
life.
that generational trauma.
Come back to some of my participants are not pregnant by choice. Some of my participants could be pregnant by mom's husband or older brother. And now you want me to love a child that's come out of something so negative. How do I do that when I don't even like me? And I think that everything's bad about me, or else they wouldn't have chose me to do bad things too.
Right. What was it about me?
What was it about me?
Right.
I was in a home with 3 other girls over me. I was the baby, but you chose me. What was wrong with me? And so everything that happened to me, I felt it was owed to me. Like I deserved it in some sense. I'm going to tell you something, but you got to close your eyes for me to tell you.
All right. My eyes are closed.
All you listeners, I want to take
Everybody,
you
all
into
the
this
listeners
life.
should probably close their eyes, unless you're
close your
driving.
eyes.
Don't
Well,
do
no,
that.
no, please don't. But so you are right now 15 years old. Okay, imagine yourself at 15 and the type of young girl you were.
Okay. Do I have to?
You do.
This is bad.
You
This is
do.
awkward.
You
Okay.
do. But guess what? We're going to be okay.
Okay.
Guess what? All right. So you're from St. Louis, I'm assuming. So Natural Bridge Fairgrounds Park. Okay. You've just walked there at 11 o'clock at night, and you've walked from North County. Let's go there.
Okay.
All right. You find a bench to sleep on for the night in the park. Next day, you're up, you're hungry, you don't have anywhere to go. So you're looking in the trash cans to get food so you can eat. You're going to go over to the pool because you want to bathe. So you're actually just dipping in the swimming pool. You begin to walk up Natural Bridge from Fair to Kings Highway. Okay. As you're passing Euclid, a car pulls over, and there's an elderly gentleman in the car. And he says, "Hey, do you need a ride?" Well, you haven't eaten. You're really hungry. So you say, "No, but if you could buy me some White Castles." Oh, by the way, this is like 1987. White Castles was 25 cents.
Yeah, right.
And you say, "Could you buy me some White Castles?" And he says, "Sure, get in the car." But before the car crosses Union, he turns and diverts into an alley.
Blech.
He wants you to service him in the alley. The alley, glass, bricks, rocks. but he places you on your knees in an alley. Okay? When this is over and you've done what he wanted you to do, he gives you a $1 bill to buy those hamburgers. You look at that dollar and you say, is this all I'm worth in the world? Is $1. Then he drives off. He doesn't even take you to get the hamburgers. He just gave you $1. How does that girl, how do you think there's anything good or worthy about yourself after that? How does that girl think she can change the world? How does she think she's smart enough to finish school? How does she think how does she think she's a mother past that point? I'm worth $1. Now open your eyes. You are looking at that girl.
How do you do it?
I didn't know for so long that I wasn't worth $1, which is why my life continued to downward spiral, which is why so many of these young girls are out here allowing themselves to be used and abused by so many. It's because somewhere along the line, instead of being told you are smart, you are great, you are beautiful, those things you're supposed to hear at home, you're hearing, you're nothing, you're stupid, you're never going to be anything, you're just like your father. You're getting all of that rooted. And if you think about it, we've been taught to retain words since we were born. So to retain, I'm nothing, I'm stupid, I'm worthless, I'm only good for what's between my legs, and that's the only thing I'm ever going to be good for is laying on my back. You fight those words daily. And I'm sitting here across from you at 52 and I still fight them. I can get ready to walk into a big board meeting or a business meeting and I say, I don't deserve to be here. I'm nothing. I hear those things and you have to stand in the moment and you have to say, yes, you are. You have to be your biggest cheerleader and you have to say, you've earned this. You deserve this. You fought like hell to get here. Don't let them win. You don't. But that took a lot of therapy and I'm still in therapy.
Yeah.
Me and my case managers are in therapy because to take on everyday trauma of these girls
yeah,
brings yours back that you thought you healed from 20 years ago.
Absolutely.
You're like, why am I thinking about him? Why am I scared? Why am I this?
Absolutely.
It's because you're steady taking in someone else's trauma. Now add that, times that by 50 every day. There's an emergency. There's a situation. My mom put me out of the house. I'm sleeping in a car. My boyfriend beat me up and he took my child and it's every day. So you have to stand and you have to say, look, not only do I have to take care of my own mental health and protect it to an extent, but it's the fight of I'm worth more than people thought I was.
So you're still in counseling. Preach.
Definitely.
I talked to my counselor yesterday.
Definitely.
Love her.
Definitely.
You haven't really said it, but you strike me as a woman of faith.
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
So I'm sure that helps you keep on keeping on.
Sure. Oh, sure. Because guess what? When I was in prison, I tried to commit suicide 3 times in the county jail. I had never been alone with me. On the streets, you can run.
Being alone with yourself is
the person you hate
sometimes.
the most.
Yep.
Let's say that.
Yep.
And I tried to hang myself from the bars. And I said, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to keep hurting anymore.
Why would you at that point? I mean, that's a very, I don't want to say normal feeling, but I get that feeling.
Yeah. Well, the third time, I stunk at it, by the way. Thank you, God. But that third time, it was like I hit that floor. And when I finally screamed, it screamed from my soul.
Between that and hitting that guy with the cushions.
And it was like...
That judge was right. You did have something inside.
It definitely. And it was all anger towards me. Not the people.
Not to everybody else. Not to the perpetrators. But
I was my own worst enemy. And so that last time, it was almost as if God said, you ready now? You ready?
Have you hit the ground hard enough?
Have you hit it yet?
Did I knock some sense into you?
And then it was, let me take you back and show you all the times that I was there protecting you when you didn't even know it. And it was, yes, you went through these things. And yes, but I didn't allow them to destroy you because they are needed for what it is I have for you to do. You can't relate to these girls and they can't relate to you had you not walked the path you walked. I know it hurt. I know it made you angry. I know it seemed unfair. But guess what? It's your purpose now. And it's tied to that pain that you thought you'd never survive.
I have to ask if it's okay.
Go ahead.
I don't usually ask this question, but do you have kids?
Oh, yes, I have 3.
Okay.
I have 27 grandkids.
Oh.
By the way, I'm 52. Oh, and by the way, I had my first great granddaughter.
Okay.
Yes, I'm 52. I'm a great grandmother.
Okay. I'm fixing my face.
When you start that early,
So how proud are your kids of you?
You know what? I worry about my daughter the most. Okay. It's going to be funny because I have 2 sons over her. But my daughter, she comes to a lot of my speaking events. Mm-hmm. For her to hear
it,
what her mother had to go through and do and survive and try all these things. And naturally, I was not the best mother. I did not know how to tell them I love them.
How could you have been?
When they would come and say, Mommy, I love you. I said, what do you want from me? And I would get so mad at myself and say, oh my God, you sound just like your mother. And I couldn't stand my mother at the time because I was just like, and then I would say, oh my God, I sound just like her. And then I would get so mad at myself for sounding like her and not being different from her, which is what I wanted to be. And that whole emotional roller coaster just kept me in a headspace where I knew I could protect you. I wasn't going to let anybody do what they did to me to you. And I thought that was love. I didn't know how to nurture, have a conversation or understand what your needs was because I was still stuck in nobody ever fulfilled my needs. Mm-hmm. So I didn't know how to do that. So I left them in that shape. By the time I came home, you're talking teenagers now.
Oh, right.
And everything that happened to my children while I was gone was my fault. They were angry at me because you weren't there. Well, I was angry at me too. But I knew that had I not gone here, you never would get the mother you deserve. Never. So in essence, it was the best thing that could have happened. So now I build relationships and they love me. And I know they loved me then, but I know how to love them in return. I had to learn them all over again. Mm-hmm. And in the process, I had to accept that I had to sit and listen to some hard conversations. Mom, I needed you to da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and you weren't there. And I had to sit there and take that.
Do you teach the moms parenting skills? Do you link up with other organizations?
Actually, we reached out to Prevent+Ed.
To Fresh Start
for
with Gerald?
parenting classes. And Mr. Gerald, if you are listening, you need to call me.
All right.
So, yeah, the thing is that, of course, with our moms, our challenge is transportation.
Obviously.
Getting them into one spot to take those classes.
Sure.
And so it's such a challenge. Getting them to the doctor is a challenge. They just won't go. They won't go at all. If we don't come up with funding where we can Uber them.
Yeah, the transportation is just paramount.
And they're underage, so they can't call Medicaid transportation.
Right.
If I don't have a parent that's supporting me and getting me to the doctor, guess what? Me or my baby's just not going. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm living proof of what that can do when you don't have prenatal care.
All right, we're going to hook you up with Gerald.
Definitely.
We will make that happen.
Definitely.
We will make that happen.
I want an extensive parenting class.
Yeah.
I don't want the short version. And Lisa speaks so highly of you all. So I'm like, okay. And he did call me. He reached out and we were actually supposed to begin the first round of parenting. Cool. But we only had like 2 moms.
Okay.
And so I said, let me build up some more. So now we're at about 12 that that can start. And yeah, so it's finding organizations and partnerships that can flex a little to our girls because they are girls that have Wi-Fi numbers. They don't have actual phone numbers, so they got to be near some Wi-Fi to even get a text or an email. And they're virtual, and you got to understand a lot of their environments aren't safe. So they're not sitting around. Yeah, sure, they can't talk and they can't, so it's we partner with, we get them all counseling assessments.
Awesome.
Praying that I'm not a mandated reporter.
Yep.
And I need the world to understand why.
Uh-huh.
If I have a young girl that comes to me and say, this is happening to me in my home, your natural response is, let me get on the phone and call the police. Oh, no, it's not. And then she comes right back and say, but you cannot tell the police, Miss AJ, because if you do, they're going to come and take my brothers and sisters, and that's going to be my fault, and I can't deal with that. So you sit and you say, well, how do I help this young girl? Well, I get her into counseling, who is a mandated reporter. Mm-hmm. And I encourage and support her in any way that I can to open up to the counselor. And if she tells the counselor, and then guess what? I didn't break my bond with her. My trust is still there. And that's crucial to these young girls, because if you don't have anybody in the world you can trust, people ask me, why do they follow these young boys so much? Well, that's the trust factor.
Yeah.
They'll say in a minute, he's all I've got. I don't have anybody but him. He's the only one that understands me. He's the only one that cares. And that's our challenge in even getting them into shelters. Right. They could be sleeping on the Metrolink pregnant, and we'll say, hey, we partner with Good Shepherd and Almost Home, and let us get you into a shelter.
Great organizations.
I can't leave him. Because what's going to happen to him? Not only am I worried about what he's going to do or who he's going to be with when I'm stuck in the shelter, but he's all I got.
So I think I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Mm-hmm. So you are just focused on the moms, correct?
Definitely. But we do still extend that help to your children's father, because Father Support Center is a great organization.
Yes, they are.
So if your child's father really is looking to finish his education, get work experience, or get help with child support, or any of those things, tell him to pick up the phone and call Father Support Center. I can't do it for him.
So you really are a community of hope, right? Because you just name dropped a lot of wonderful organizations, right?
Yes.
You know that you can't do it all.
Oh, definitely.
But you also realize that you have a calling and a niche.
Yes.
That, you can relate to these young girls and young moms because you've been there or somewhere very similar. But you're not trying to be all things to all people.
No, I stay in my lane.
Yeah.
And I think as a community, as a city, if people pick lanes and focus in that lane.
That's right.
That's what, because once you start crossing lanes, now you're watering down your mission. Right. They're not getting the best of you because you're trying to, I'm going to go help seniors and I'm going to freeze. No, we stay in teen moms. And if I can help your mother, grandmother, or great-grandmother with counseling referrals or housing needs, and by all means, because you don't be healthy, baby's not safe if they're not safe. So it does come in a package deal, even if that means I have to reach out to your child's father and say, hey, I've got some links for some job interviews.
And that doesn't mean
you
are providing the service. It
Correct.
Means you are providing. Prevent+Ed says no a lot more than it says yes, because you have to know your lane.
You have to.
And you have to, that's one of the things that I'm so grateful about with this podcast is like we focus
Which is excellent, by the way.
Thank you. But we focus more on other organizations most of the time than we do ourselves because we have to work in tandem.
Yes. If
we're going to improve health outcomes, if we're going to, improve some of the disparities that are very real in our region. Like, we have to be working together and we can't be duplicating services.
Yes.
We have to stay in our lane. And every once in a while, you know what? Like, we're going to, you're going to turn on your blinker and you can come in our lane a little bit. We can work together and then you can go back into your lane, but
because
you have to do
It's
that.
like us giving our girls to you all for parenting.
Right.
I'm not a parenting class instructor.
Right.
I stunk at parenting. Let's just be real. I didn't know how to be a parent. Same thing with safe sleep. An infant loss. And it's what do you mean don't put the baby on the stomach? That's all we did when we were. So there's a lot of things even now that have changed and we don't know. Right. Well, why not refer our girls to places that's is what they do?
That's right.
And I think that's where we're doing a disservice to the community. Seriously, because you're trying to do so many things because of grant funding. Oh, let's get the funding for this and let's get the funding. Well, if you don't put out quality programs, you're not helping.
That's right.
You're not helping.
Well, speaking of funding, I would be remiss if I did not mention funding.
Yes.
So we know you like any nonprofit, are reliant on grants.
Yes.
But really the thing that's amazing is when you can get those donors and the unrestricted funds so you can do the things that you can't do with grants all
Yes.
the time. So you have a really cool fundraiser coming up, right?
We do.
Tell me about it.
So we have a benefit concert for our teen moms. It is called Motown Mania, and the group is called The Best Intentions, and they're coming all the way from San Francisco, California. And we've got some local artists. One is called Keeping It Real Band, and the other one is Manya, and you talk about voices that blow the house down. But they are all coming together for a benefit concert to benefit our hardship fund. Our hardship fund is how grants don't let me buy a bed to get a pregnant mom off the floor, or does not allow me to buy emergency formula, or does not allow me, there's so many restrictions within grant funding.
Yep.
Well, there's so many emergencies for these moms. So if I have to put her up in a hotel so she's not sleeping on the Metrolink for 2 days, those things normally would come from my pocket.
Right.
So it's like, no, we built a hardship fund, and recently we actually just lost one of our program children, 2-month-old baby. And what that taught us was we picked up the funeral expenses because mom was 16. Right. She had nothing, and her parents were not there. So do we let this child? No, we figure this out. So that also let me know the hardship fund needed to include those situations, because now we know that they're out at our door sometimes, and we got to be able to step in and assist. We do. And so the hardship fund provides all of those things that grants do not allow us to do.
So if you want to find out more about the event coming up, purchase a ticket, if you want to learn about being a community mentor, how do people find you?
You find us on the web at communityofhopestl.org. You can call us 314-887-5941. You can text that number as well if you're a texter. And you can also find us on social media at Community of Hope St. Louis. That's our Facebook as well as our Instagram. You email me, communityofhopestl@gmail. Or guess what? Pop by. Take a look. See the Mommy and Me closet. See what we do. We're inside Pilgrim Church, 826 Union, Suite 201. We've got the whole second floor of the church. And it's just amazing. We look for volunteers. I wash every piece of donations. Do you know that's my life? I'm washing
laundry. Laundry. Yeah.
Yes, but
if you like doing laundry, we know there are people out there. If you like doing laundry, hit up AJ.
Yes, because I want to make sure that just because you're disadvantaged don't mean you're less than.
Right.
And so I'm double checking everything to make sure it's not stained, it's not ripped. We're cleaning every walker, every crib, everything that comes in there is sanitized, cleaned, washed, bleached, everything. So we always look for volunteers to help in the Mommy and Me closet, but more so if you know a mother. Mm-hmm. And I say this, I have teen mothers in my mission, but if you know a mother, period, I don't care the age that you know is struggling and may need anything from us, diapers, clothes, whatever, counseling, referrals, or whatever, pick up the phone and call us. We're never going to turn a mother away.
I am so glad that we were connected.
Yes.
This is not going to be the end. I think this is the beginning.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming on.
I appreciate you.
If you liked what you heard, and I know you did, I know you did. If you liked what you heard, please consider rating, reviewing, and subscribing to The Preventable. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us at The Preventable, brought to you ad-free by Prevent+Ed. Prevent+Ed works to reduce or prevent the harms of alcohol and other drug use through education, intervention, and advocacy. Please visit their website at prevented.org. Like what you heard? Rate, review, and subscribe to stay up to date with what we are serving on The Preventable.